All right, so let's break into some altcoins today, take a look at a deep dive on several projects out there. Maybe this is the bleed off that we've been looking for. Is this an entry point? We'll break all that down for you guys today. If you're thinking about altcoins, you don't want to miss this one. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. If you're doing a long-term holding, one of the places you can go into crypto long-term holding, whether you're doing altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, is over at iTrust Capital. Very easy to join. All you have to do is click our link down below. It's going to give you access. And if you do decide to get started over there, you're going to get a $100 funding reward. So make sure and check that out. All right, let's get into a couple of things here today. Part of this will be a lineup of altcoins, many of which are really struggling right now, mostly because of Bitcoin now in the 25.5 range right now. Let's take a look at the chart and just see where Bitcoin is currently trading as we film this. Dipping into the 25.6 range right now with a wick, so we've got a little bit of a movement down. This is on the 4-hour right now. Sentiment, if you've been tracking our CPI, then you probably saw this coming for quite some time, even all the way back to the 29th when we had down sentiment on that little spike that was starting to show up. So it has been at least giving a little bit of an indicator that the markets have seen a downward sentiment. With analysts pointing at that this may be a really rough September, are there going to be some opportunities here? So we're going to break into a lot of those to take a look. I'm going to go to this first tweet right here. This, of course, is Coinbase Wallet. All about that base launched in August. Monthly recap on Coinbase Wallet for all your needs on Build on Base. Lots happening, basically. This is all over now. Absolute, I think, huge success for what Coinbase has done with Base as a blockchain, and it has really showed out in terms of the amount of projects that have been flowing within it. When you look at some of the on-chain analysis here, daily active users, they're on Base. You can just kind of see the explosion that has occurred during August, and this isn't really the end of it. We will most likely see a strategic rollout with Base and Coinbase's efforts to continue to help foster this industry, which I think is it's a grand master plan with what they're trying to do over there. Further into this, here's of course the current data on the total value locked right now, almost $500 million. So when you look at the growth right here of Base, very, very significant overall. Now, some of the most recent spike right here is a little bit because of what Aerodome is happening here. So this, of course, is another DEX. The interesting thing is there's a lot of projects that are starting to go in this direction. I don't think Base is going to slow down at all. All right, so one of the other things that you can take a look at here is, of course, the total Base users now cracking over 1 million total users. Very significant. But again, a lot of opportunity here for a massive growth. Remember, this is just the first month, and we've already started to see Base as a significant player in the market. So think about that, all EVM and Ethereum-based lineup. If you look at Coinbase, the stock, currently on the, let's go over here to the daily and squeeze in a little bit because it is slipping right now. Coinbase is around 77 after it kind of got that little bit of rise right there. This has been mostly because of some of the legislative wins that we've seen in the marketplace this week. Only bad news this week was the fact that we've got the ETFs that push back, which of course is what we've seen with the overall crypto markets pushing down. But Coinbase seemed to have stabilized slightly, even though I do still anticipate that this is still going to take a little bit more time to get their lawsuit out of the way. Obviously, that'll be a factor. The other thing that will come into possibly indicating some movement for Coinbase stock as well as the markets is going to be a potential stablecoin regulation. We'll talk about that as well as we go along here. Another point I want to hit on right here is huge win, long live DeFi. This, of course, founder over at Uniswap. One of the things that is interesting, a longtime fear of mine has been a bad legal interpretation of our complex technical industry. This, of course, is now all changed with the U.S. courts holding up the arguments that they, along with many other industry proponents, have felt that this has been kind of a selected scenario of what decentralized finance is all about. And it held up in a court of law, one step removed from the Supreme Court. So that is a pretty significant adjustment. If you look at Uniswap in general, it of course responded in kind in terms of overall Uniswap daily transactions, which is good. Uniswap, the token, not performing quite as well, but at least the point is that we've got the framework of what's happening in crypto moving in the right direction, especially when you think about DeFi in general. Let's take a look at the current token right now. Uniswap down. This is on the daily, so sliding fairly consistently over the last few weeks as Uniswap continues. Now the question is this one of those that you would look at maybe a long-term opportunity on? I don't know. It's not one I hold, and it's not one that we keep it in the CPI and we measure it constantly. It does have a current downtrend on sentiment, but it is one that we're always watching. So definitely happening and taking a look at it. Love to get your feedback on some of the tokens that you are holding and that you're looking at possibly entries on. Make sure and comment down below. Always love to get that. Robinhood, of course, is now buying back their stock from Sam Bankman-Fried. This is going to all happen during a litigation approval by the U.S. courts that is handling the bankruptcy, and also the scenario that's playing out with FTX. So the good news is Robinhood and their FTX days are behind them. So that's, I think, a good win for Robinhood in general. Robinhood also, on the heels of the Uniswap win, is now bringing DeFi users in, and they're adding 200 plus Ethereum and Polygon tokens. So that in itself is another big win for Robinhood. Now remember, Robinhood is one of the most active crypto exchanges, mainly because of Doge, but the opportunity here, I think, will start to really fly into more DeFi opportunities for Robinhood. Remember, they just launched their DeFi wallet. There's a lot happening there within it. If Robinhood would ever get past that $5,000 daily transfer fee or transfer limit on things like Bitcoin and other major assets, I think they would probably do much better. But right now, that's kind of the scenario that plays out on it. If you take a look at Hood, the stock, we'll take a look. It is moving and responding slightly here, not doing too bad, holding at $11 right now, up pretty much on the month right now, all the way back. If you look all the way back into February, that's about where we were back then after that little bit of a climb. So the good thing is the trend line is definitely on a slight up range for the year. So interesting one is if you're hedging the crypto markets, some of the stocks that we watch, of course, is Coinbase, MicroStrategies, Robinhood, and a handful of others when you look at some of the mining stocks out there. But overall, interesting play for Robinhood. Again, Robinhood, I think, is going to get very active. Once that these markets start to loosen up, Robinhood will most likely be one of the key players. All right, of course, if you didn't catch our Chainlink video, make sure and check that out. A couple things within the Chainlink scenario is the fact that these experiments that have been conducted on Swift were all done on Ethereum and successful. Additionally, Avalanche. So interesting aspect to that. If you look at Avalanche currently right now, definitely not coming out. It's definitely at one of its lower points right now, under $10. Definitely love to see your kind of feedback if you continue to see Avalanche slide. Would this be one of the tokens that you would jump into? Could it possibly go into the $5, $6, and $7 range? I think if it were to go there, it might be an interesting one to tap into. All right, so let me go over to and take a look at Chainlink right here. Also sliding down, pretty much every altcoin bleeding off right now within the market. So I think it really boils down to what are you most passionate about in terms of projects or in light of what the market might do in terms of the recovery and what that might look like. Also, let's jump over to Algorand. Algorand, one thing, of course, is we did a video on this on their TravelX feature, which is kind of a cool aspect on this. 1 million passengers now experiencing flexibility of NFT tickets. If we are going to see some movement there, this may be one of the concepts and projects that do it. Now, if you look at Algo, as far as the token, definitely taking a lot of heat this past little bit as it continues to be at its lowest point in an all-time low. All right, a couple other stories I wanted to jump on to. XRP did their airdrop. It's over. All of this, of course, was part of what was happening over on the Evers airdrop. And of course, that was a very successful one. So if you are looking at XRP, there are some other aspects to it, especially with what's happening on the ledger. And there's some key components, I think, within this. If you look at this, Uphold, of course, was part of this. They're going to support the Evernode Evers airdrop. All of that happened. XRP holders will be airdropped the Evers tokens in proportion to the amount of XRP held. There was only a few places that actually did this. So this was another aspect that I thought was kind of interesting. XRP, the token, did not necessarily respond that much, but interesting in the fact that you've got a pretty cool aspect of the technology right here. I still don't think people still fully understand the technical and business implication of and on hooks-enabled networks. This is on the ledger. We actually did a full breakdown of this and why it's beneficial. But the XRP ledger comes with a variety of features natively, and with hooks, smart contracts. Remember, this is the smart contract platform for XRP. We're going to have a lot more flexibility and leverage. That is one of the interesting aspects of all of this. Swirl, of course, won first prize on the Flow Hackathon. This, of course, happened over the summer, which is kind of cool. So kudos to the Swirl team. If you look at what's happening within the Flow blockchain, there are some interesting aspects on all of this. I want to go into a clip real quick of what Swirl is. Listen in.
You can put nickname and any social handle from Twitter, Discord, and Telegram. Most special part is that you can add your PFP as a profile picture. And if you just click adjust, it will be reflect directly because it's dynamic NFT. All you have to do is just shake your phones together and get it closer. You can see my card has been added to Thern's Swirl, and Thern's card has been added to my wallet. And you can see each other's profile and even the location.
It's kind of some of the web too. I like the design on this though. Taking a little bit further look here, let's take a look at Flow and where it's holding right now. Sliding also on a trend line down. And Flow is one of the tokens that I've considered as a long-term project. Here's, of course, is Anatoly talking a little bit more about Beam. So many awesome products are launching on Beam. It's going to make crypto feel like real money to all the mainstream users. Of course, that talking about some aspects of Solana Pay. I want to jump to a clip real quick on Beam just to give you kind of an insight on this. Listen in. Beam basically takes and allows all kinds of crypto to go into a wallet that can easily be connected directly to your bank account and converts automatically to USD. So that's really the technology in a nutshell. Very efficient and also very beneficial. The question will be adoption. Jeremy and Allaire talking about this. Very cool. I've been waiting to see someone wire up Visa Direct and MasterCard send to USDC Cash Out, which is what they're talking about. It's the same stack that Venmo and Cash App and others use, instant cash out to debit card. Again, Beam, Cash, and Visa getting on this. So that's kind of cool. So it can also go directly into a debit card as an alternative. Other things playing here, here's a Beam. Who here wants to see Beam's Cash as an instant USD off-ramp integrated into Phantom? This would be news. This would be a nice feature, and I think, again, this just shows you the amount of innovation that they are going into. Again, tie into what Anatoly was talking about a little bit there. Definitely a big benefit as this technology moves forward. Solana under 20 bucks right now. Now, it doesn't mean that it couldn't hit, this spot down here around that $14 range, which is really the range that we've been looking at. But remember, Solana back in the beginning of the year had hit that $8 range. So my question to you guys is, do you think Solana goes back to the $8 or $10 mark? Or do you feel like that nest right there at about 14 bucks is the one? Now, the big thing here that is kind of interesting here at the end is, of course, this is Udi talking about, remember Udi really kind of going in the ordinals route, but his is his latest tweet right here, Bitcoin ZK. Our magical partners at Kazar Labs or Kazar Labs gets the win with Startnet Hackathon and the Taproot Wizards collab, which is basically doing a thing called Bitcoin DA, kicking off the journey for a magical rollup on Bitcoin. So open source allowing anyone to run Stark on rollups on Bitcoin. Essentially, what you're talking about here is an Ethereum base on Bitcoin. This would be pretty bullish if this happened. Laser eyes are about to learn a little bit of a hard lesson about consensus. Bitcoin isn't governed by podcasts, meaning just people talking about it all the time. the next Bitcoin soft fork happens in 2024 market. If this were to occur, this would change the dynamic around Bitcoin dramatically. And that is a very interesting aspect. If you think about layer 2, away from Lightning and moving into the Ethereum ecosystem, things would get very interesting for Bitcoin, I think, in a big way. All right, last up here is Ethereum. As you can see, ETH holding it around 1,600. And this is another one I think, when you look at it, I'm looking at an entry point somewhere between the 12 to 14. Could be some other dollar cost average points. I am holding Ethereum as one of my major assets right now, so it is one I'm watching closer than anything. Love to get you guys' feedback. Do you feel like you're going this direction with ETH and the ecosystem? Are you playing that market, or are you looking more on the Bitcoin side? Love to get, how you guys feel about where this is going, and also where do you feel the market's going to go? Always love your feedback. If you're listening in right now on the podcast, make sure and tune in over here on the YouTube channel, because it's going to give you all these charts and it's going to give you a little bit more of an insight, including that little clip there where you heard some audio and didn't hear anything. That was just a little bit of music play around Beam. But that's where it helps, is just jumping over here. If you're not part of our Diamond Circle, make sure and get in now. It is one of the ways that you get additional info and content from us. It's very simple and very easy to join. Just click the link down below. If you guys want to catch me, it's out there on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.